What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another review stream for you guys in a ferocious and feisty game at Stamford Bridge yesterday, which finished 2-2. And you got to say, we definitely got away with one yesterday at Stamford Bridge. And I mean, I don't know how you felt, but I just felt so lucky, really, to come away with that point yesterday.
Yeah, I think that you got to take a point when you go away at Stamford Bridge, and especially when it's a long season, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So you can't just go all guns blazing from the start. You're going to have bad performances. And, you know, we've got some new signings to integrate into the team and everything like that. I think it was always going to be a lot tougher than maybe a lot of Spurs fans expected going away at Chelsea early in the season.
But let's be honest, though, like, Chelsea away is our hardest game of the season.
Most of the time.
It is, because at Liverpool, you know, we always play well. Well, not always, but we have good games there. At Man City as well, we won last year, and we sometimes play well there. I always feel that the way Chelsea play their football, it's always our hardest game of the season.
Yeah, and we usually, more often than not get turned over at Stamford Bridge. So I think it was refreshing to see Tottenham get a result and stay in the game and not like wilter, like pitifully, like we've done in previous years. So I think that's a positive to take from the game. The fact that we stayed in the game, we were resolute, but you have to say Chelsea played us off the park tactically, and I think man for man, they were just a lot better team than us. They had a plan to come up against how Antonio Conte was going to set up. I think they had that plan implemented last season as well in the Carling Cup games, and they did exactly the same thing yesterday. And I was a bit frustrated that we couldn't see that coming. That was a bit annoying from the off, and it took us about an hour to change things. But once we did change things, then all of a sudden we did get some control in the game, and we started to get into things and create chances. But before then, Tuchel was running rings around Conte tactically, and I think overall Conte will definitely feel relieved that we got the draw, because I think he was out-tacticked for most of the game by Tuchel.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And when you look at it, the crazy stat is a Spurs player hasn't scored against Chelsea in the league before this game since 2018 when we beat them 3-1 at Wembley.
Wow.
How mad is that? Because Rudiger scored an own goal in between then, but an actual Spurs player in the league hasn't scored since then.
Yeah, and that's nowhere near good enough.
And when you're looking at the game yesterday, I thought we came out the blocks well yesterday. I thought in the first 5 minutes it looked like we were really going to provide something in the game. And then within 5 minutes, Chelsea took complete control. And N'Golo Kante was an absolute boss in the middle of the pitch. I mean, he was controlling everything. He didn't let our midfielders have a second to breathe. And I thought the midfield battle between Højbjerg, Bentancur against Jorginho and Kante, I thought Kante and Jorginho completely overran them at times. And I thought Bentancur was fairly poor yesterday.
Yeah, I think him and Højbjerg did struggle big time in the centre, but it wasn't just Jorginho and Kante. It was the way Tuchel set up to outnumber us in the middle that was causing us big problems. Not just on the ball, off the ball, but on the ball as well. When in our build-up play, we really struggled to build up the play through the centre, and then the wing-backs didn't seem to be pushing high enough out wide, and they weren't really getting into the game, apart from one moment where Sessegnon took advantage of a quick thinking from Harry Kane, and obviously he got a chance. But for the first hour, Chelsea were completely dominant and in control of the game, although I would say they obviously scored from a corner, and I think Sterling had one chance which he blazed over the bar. They didn't create too much with all their control.
There was that chance in the first half from Kai Havertz where he screwed it wide. There was that chance from real point-blank range in the second half from Kai Havertz as well.
No, there was a one way he forced Lloris into a good save. That's what you mean.
There was two from Havertz.
Yeah.
There was one in the first half, one in the second half.
That's what I'm saying. The first half was the one where he forced a really good save off Lloris.
I thought it just went wide.
No, for the corner, because Alway went up for a corner. They scored from it.
Was it that one? I'm not sure what
the
result
I think it was that one.
I thought it just went wide, but maybe
no, that was a great save by Lloris. And he just tipped it wide, and then they actually scored from that corner. But But yeah, so they didn't create too much, although they were the only ones threatening to create, and that was the worry. And I think the worry as well is Loftus-Cheek and James were completely dominant on that right-hand side. Sessegnon and Ben Davies were really struggling,
Yeah,
and
especially Seth.
yeah, they were really struggling to really impose themselves. Loftus-Cheek physically, every long ball was going into Loftus-Cheek, and he was winning every single header. It was ridiculous.
He was so dominant in the air, wasn't he? I mean,
Yeah.
we just couldn't win anything off Loftus-Cheek yesterday. And we were saying I was saying coming into the game, seeing Loftus-Cheek on the pitch, supposedly playing at right wing back, and Reece James tucked in a little bit, I thought we could have got a bit of joy down that side, but how wrong was I?
No, they were. I think he did it on purpose. He had a plan, as I say, and also Loftus-Cheek would tuck in, and so would Mason Mount, and it would create a 4 in the centre with Mount, with Jorginho, Kante, Loftus-Cheek, and Mount, and that made the numbers completely unequal and allowed Chelsea a lot more control on the ball, and that's why we found it so difficult against them for a large part of the game. And when we were going forward, they switched back to a back 3 in possession. Reece James was on Huminson like a rash every time he got the ball. Harry Kane was struggling to get involved as well, and it was a real tactically, I would say Tuchel really had the upper hand for the first hour.
Yeah, and it wasn't just Reece James on Sonny, to be honest. I mean, there was 2 or 3 men on him all the time, like a rash, every time Sonny got the ball. And not only that, but Sonny's touch was off it yesterday as well. Every time the ball came to him, it was bouncing off him and what have you. But I think that it proved yesterday, it proved how important strength in depth is and how important it is to have these players on the bench, because I think it changed when Richarlison came on, and his energy, his will, his desire really helped the team yesterday. And you could see that, how he was just willing the team forward all the time he was on that pitch. And I thought players like Bissouma and Perisic also came on and really made a positive impact. I mean, look at Perisic, right? He comes on straight away, those 2 corners where we could have scored from both of them. Ben Davies with the point blank one forces a good save, and the other one ends up in the back of the net. So I mean, those set pieces from Ivan Perisic were absolutely unbelievable, weren't they?
Yeah, they were really good. And obviously he took a free kick with his right foot, and then he took a corner with his left foot. Just showed how two-footed he is. But in terms of how the tactics changed the game, so once Richarlison comes on, we move into a kind of 4-4-2, 4-2-2-2 formation. And that kind of matched up Chelsea in a way, because on the ball, that's how Chelsea were playing, with a 4-2-2-2. So all of a sudden, we had Richarlison and Kane up front. We had Son on the left. We had Kulusevski on the right. We kept, obviously, everything else was kept the same. We moved to a back 4 as well. And then you've got to say, we all of a sudden became a lot more of a threat, and we were able to keep the ball a lot more. You had Son and Kulusevski actually finding pockets of space. Harry Kane was put through on goal almost immediately after the change was made. Richarlison, as you say, his energy was bringing a lot to the team, and all of a sudden we were looking a lot more of a threat. However, we were looking more of a threat, but also Chelsea started to get a lot more clear-cut chances after that as well. So it was kind of like just throwing caution to the wind at that point. And it kind of paid off, because obviously Højbjerg gets the goal, gets the equaliser. Although Chelsea could have gone 2-0 ahead with that chance from Sterling, we gambled and it paid off. But once we equalised, then Chelsea made another change, and then it all swung back in their favour.
Yeah, literally. And you know what? A lot of people I've been hearing talking about Højbjerg saying on the fan show yesterday, saying he didn't play well, he was hiding, he was this, he was that. And yeah, fair enough, he didn't have the best game, but our 2 best moments in the game he produced for us. That through ball for Kane to put him 1-on-1, and obviously the goal as well with the lovely finish into the bottom corner. So when you're actually looking at it, Højbjerg was probably one of our better players yesterday.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. But I thought he was obviously very sloppy in possession. There were those moments with Højbjerg where he was just giving the ball away left, right, and centre every time he looked for a pass, and that's when obviously and those are really easy to point at and say, oh look, he's having a bad game and stuff. But I think it does get overlooked, a lot of the good work he does, and I think again he stepped up when we needed him, and it was a really good finish for the goal.
It was, and that through ball was literally on a plate for Harry Kane. I was so surprised he missed that.
Yeah,
so
skewed
surprised
it. Composure.
It really was. I mean, that's like bread and butter for Harry Kane, isn't it?
Yeah.
Usually he is slotting those like 9 out of 10 times, and unfortunately it's against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge that 1 out of 10 time that he's going to miss it.
But I have to say, so once we get it back on level terms, we're looking good. And I think we're about to bring on Basuma and Perisic to change the game again, go back to a back three and play to our strengths.
And by the way, just before you carry on, how many times did we see that under Jose Mourinho, where we're doing well in a game or something and we need a change and we can see the game needs changes and the players are on the touchline and then the goal goes in against
Yeah, it
us.
happened a few times. And it happened again. It's so unfortunate. Although I have to admit, the defending for the second goal was absolutely atrocious. I think maybe Davis
For both goals.
must have been. I mean, Davis didn't really know what to do with that goal because he tucked in to deal with Sterling, but he left James completely free on that right hand side, completely free.
I mean, they've been defending in a back three for so long now. They're so used to it. When you ask them to defend in a back four, it's like you're asking them to do what they're not used to. And I kind of understand it, but
I thought
one of the other centre-backs had to be there to help Davis out. But
I thought
defending for both goals.
I thought Dyer and Davis particularly really struggled in that back four when we
Yeah, they
moved.
did. Absolutely.
I have to say
And
that.
we've said that before, isn't it, with Ben Davis and Eric Dyer. I mean, they can't play in a back four.
Yeah.
They struggle all the time when we play them in a back four, and there's a consistent problem. But the defending for both goals were absolutely shocking. That first one, how is Koulibaly so free?
Yeah.
There's literally nobody on him. He's got all the time in the world to think about where to put that shot, to volley that shot into the top corner, and that's exactly what he did. And you can't give anyone time and space like that in the box, especially from a corner.
Yeah, and it seems that we went back to zonal marking in from that corner instead of man marking, because I remember there was other set pieces where Son seemed to be marking Koulibaly, and I was like, what is going on here? Why is Son and Koulibaly? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But it just seems that our set pieces has now gone to zonal marking, so everyone has their role, which can cause problems because you can get the opposition players like Koulibaly just saying, well, I'm gonna go in this area, and if Son's in that area, that's who's marking him. And that can be an issue. But maybe it's something where we think it's we're gonna concede less overall during the course of the season than will have cost us. So we have to wait and see over the course of the season how that affects us. But in terms of the second goal, it was just all over the place. We didn't know what we were doing, and I think Conte knew that. Because I think time and time again, they were getting in on that right-hand side. It was actually Loftus-Cheek and Reece James time again. But Loftus-Cheek isn't the most decisive player, which has always been one of his problems. So they didn't make the most of it when he was on the right-hand side. But when he made that change, he brought on Azpilicueta, put Loftus-Cheek in the centre, and then put Reece James just purely on the right. Then it made a difference, because Reece James gets really good attacking returns. He can score. And all of a sudden, Reece James was attacking the right-hand side. Davis was completely exposed. He had Sterling and James to deal with, and in that back four, we were struggling. And then they scored right at the perfect time. They couldn't have, if they could pick one moment to score, it would have been that moment probably, because we were just about to change it. And then I was really down after that goal, because I thought, we're not getting back in this game now, because they're just going to shut up shop. You know, I think if they wouldn't have scored at that moment, we could have gone on to win that game. I really believe that.
I felt like when we scored that equaliser, I felt like we could go on and win the game after that, even though Chelsea had been so much better than us. But I felt the pendulum had swung at that point. And I felt we did have the upper hand, but Tuchel changed it. We didn't change it quick enough, and what happened. But step up Ivan Perisic and step up Harry Kane in the last minute of the game, literally last minute of stoppage time, and we all thought it was Richarlison in the stands. Richarlison.
Apparently, everyone on TV thought it was Richarlison as well,
because it's the way he ran away, and then Kane kind of comes in afterwards. But no, brilliant header from Harry Kane, brilliant delivery from Ivan Perisic, and we end up drawing the game 2-2, which kind of felt like definitely a point gained than others, like 2 points dropped. And you probably say for a Chelsea fan, it's 2 points dropped as opposed to a point gained. But let's talk about some of the key decisions by the referee in the game as well, because obviously our first goal, Højbjerg, Richarlison is clearly offside. Is he blocking the keeper's view? Do you think it should have been chalked off?
Well, when I first saw it, I thought, he was blocking the keeper's view in terms of the trajectory of the ball, because the ball has to go round Richarlison to go into the back of the net. Upon watching the replays and stuff when I got home, Mendy has a clear sight of when Højbjerg is shooting, but the ball does go round Richarlison. So I think it's 50-50.
Oh, here we go.
The
Ice cream
trucks
once
around
again. Who wants ice cream, people?
It's hot enough, that's for sure.
Let us know what ice creams you want in the comment section below.
I think it's just a 50-50 call at that point, whether you believe that Richarlison is getting involved in the play or not, because Mendy does have a clear sight of when the shot comes off, and I don't think Richarlison being there stops it going in. It's just one of those where, do you think that Richarlison had any sort of impact on how Mendy was, Mendy's line of sight? I think if it was against me, I'd be a bit aggrieved, because I do think he was a bit in his line of sight. I really do. But
they showed on match day, didn't it? Like the vision there, and like he was just in the corner of it.
Yes, he was kind of there. I think we might have got away with one with that one. I don't think it was like a glaring error by the referee, which I did at the beginning. I thought, oh, that's clearly offside. So I can see why they didn't overturn it, but I think if that would have been ruled out, I don't think we could complain about it either.
I agree. I completely agree. I think I think we definitely got away with one there, to be honest.
But when we're talking about that foul on Havertz, upon further replays,
Bentancur got the ball there.
He looked like he got the ball, actually,
got the ball.
which I thought was a clear foul.
Just about got the ball, but he got the ball.
I thought it was a clear foul initially. I was like, I don't know how we got away with that, but if you really slow it down, he gets a toe on the ball.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And our second goal, just before the corner, isn't it? That Romero pulls down Cucurella by his hair. What do you think the referee was thinking there? Because he saw it again. Why
could he have red carded him?
Yeah, could he have red carded him? Could he have done something? The referee?
No, nothing. If you use either a red card or you don't give anything.
What do you think should have happened?
So. Obviously, it's a foul. So the referee not seeing it in the first place, that's definitely got away with. Is it a red card? I mean, it's hard to argue that it's not a red card. He pulled his hair down, and he pulled him to the ground via his head. So why is that not a red card? I don't know. Maybe they're arguing it's just like tussling in the area or something. I don't know. I think it's lucky. Again,
people talking on Twitter about Romero should face retrospective action. No,
they
challenge.
confirmed that it isn't.
I know they confirmed it this morning, but do you think that he should receive retrospective action? I know he hasn't done.
No.
You don't?
No. I think VAR saw it. You can't. How many times do you want to referee the game? 3 times?
It's true.
You know what I mean?
It's true, but
VAR sees it and they don't think they shouldn't get involved. I think there's no point re-refereeing again.
Me personally, I mean, obviously I'm happy with the way the decision went, but I think he should have been given a sending off yesterday.
Yeah,
he's
lucky.
You can't do that in a football game. You can't pull him by the hair to the ground.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
it's not WWE. You know what I mean?
I mean, I can't really argue. I don't see how you can argue that it's not a red. I mean, it's very clearly a violent move. There's no other reason for him to do that other than to stop his opponent and try and cause damage. I don't know. I mean, I don't see the reasoning why it wasn't a red card, to be honest. But he's a lucky boy, Romero. He's got to be more careful in those situations. That's all I can say. I don't know what the VAR was thinking. Apparently, from what I heard, if the VAR rules have changed, that they can no longer give a second yellow card, whereas before they could have. And apparently, the VAR only deemed it worthy of a yellow, and you can't give yellow cards on a VAR check.
But I don't get that how that's only worthy of a yellow. I just don't understand it.
I don't know.
Happy days though, happy days.
I'm just trying to think. Like, wasn't there an incident where there were, I think maybe it was in the Euros, where there was a winger who was like running away from a defender, and just to stop him, he just pulls his hair back, and like he just got a yellow card for a cynical foul. So I don't know. Maybe they see it like that. It's just kind of trying to instead of an actual. It's not like a kick or a punch. It's more of just like an act to stop the opponent.
What's worse?
Like pulling the shirt or something.
What's worse? What Romero did to Cucurella, or what Martial did to Lamela that time, first game of the season, when he hardly touched his face.
Yeah.
Just about, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, Romero's is much worse than that.
Of course.
So, I mean, look, it's...
Yeah, that's the only reason I can think of. Like, they just don't see it as like a proper violent act. They just see it as an act which is worthy of a yellow, I guess. I don't know. It's
but,
weird.
you know, Romero's got to watch himself, though, because I love his his shithousery. I love his aggression, and I love stuff like that. But he needs to watch himself not to do stupid stuff like that, because it's going to get him a sending off at some stage.
Oh, he will get a red. That's what he got 1-1 against Vitesse, didn't he?
Conte's first game.
Hasn't seen red yet, but I'm guaranteed he'll see at least red at least once this season. If he will. He can't help himself, Romero, in these situations, which I think will do him more good than harm. Like for example, I compare him to Sergio Ramos. How many red cards has Ramos had in his career?
Yeah.
But he's one of the best defenders ever. It doesn't seem to stop him being that. So I think Romero is going to be the same. He's going to get loads of cards. He's not going to care, but he's still going to be a top defender.
No, absolutely. But ultimately, you got to say that taking a point away from Stamford Bridge is a good point when you look at our past history there. Like I said, we haven't scored against them since 2018, when apart from when Rudiger scored an own goal. So I think that no matter the circumstances, I think it's a great point to go to Stamford Bridge and take. I'm happy with it, and we move on to the next game. But I think let's delve into the actual tactics and see where it went wrong and where it went right yesterday. Well, mainly wrong, to be fair.
I'll explain the different tactical switches there were during the 90 minutes, just so we can visually explain to you what I was seeing happening on the pitch. So Chelsea, first of all, obviously we started as expected. Chelsea obviously made a bit of a change to what our prediction was. They, instead of having James here and Azpilicueta at centre back, they had James at centre back and Loftus-Cheek at right wing back, which was obviously a move which was a plan for us specifically, I think, from Tuchel. If this is how Chelsea set up out of possession, but as they got in possession, they would basically move like this into this kind of formation, with Sterling and Havertz up top.
Look at that. Look at those graphics. Automated. Wow.
Mount on the left, Loftus-Cheek on the right, Reece James moving into right back position. So it kind of moved into a 4-2-2-2 formation. So it started off like that and kind of moved like very fluidly into that kind of formation during the game. And obviously when they had this formation, one second. When they had that formation, it gave them a lot of advantages. Loftus-Cheek and Reece James were very much on this side, dominating Sessegnon and Ben Davis. Heung-min Son was forced to do a lot of tracking back because Reece James was basically a fullback at this point, getting very much far forward. Loftus-Cheek and Mason Mount were in these positions here, kind of tucked in, allowing Reece James to bomb on beyond Sessegnon. Sessegnon wasn't really sure who to go with. Does he go with Loftus-Cheek or does he go with Reece James if Son wasn't tracking back? And it also gave them a lot of numbers in the centre, because with Loftus-Cheek and Mount tucking in here, it gave Kante, Jorginho, Loftus-Cheek and Mount a lot of advantage of outnumbering us in the centre there. So that was what was causing us a lot of trouble, with obviously Cucurella and Reece James occupying our wing backs. It gave them basically advantages all over the pitch.
Do you think it's a problem in games like this that Conte, never really changes his formation and tactics from the off?
You mean like from the start?
Yeah.
Is that a problem? Yes and no. Yes and no. I think it is a problem because I think it can easily be planned for, like it was yesterday, and I think it can be planned for, and from that sense, it can be a bit predictable. Like Tuchel clearly had a plan.
Yeah.
But I would say no as well, because I think it is important that for the majority of games, when you have a system that you've been practicing for the majority of your time and that's your system, then you stick with it and you trust it. And even though other teams are going to do things to try and stop you, that's your system that you trust, and you can't keep chopping and changing just for the opposition. So I think that is going to help perfect the system in the long run. But in games like this, you are going to come unstuck. And I think he should have changed it at half time.
I agree with that. I mean, we were all calling for it, weren't we?
Yeah, definitely. But when he did change it, if we just go back to, okay, one sec. But when he did change it, all of a sudden we were getting a lot of joy. What he did was he took off Sessegnon and he brought on Richarlison over here. And how he changed it was he moved to a back four. Davis, Dyer, Romero and Emerson became a back four. And then all of a sudden we had Kulusevski here, we had Kane, Kane there, Richarlison there, and Son. And all of a sudden, it gave Chelsea a bit of a problem because before it was they were pinning Son and Kulusevski back because James and Cucurella were getting so much joy, and we couldn't deal with Loftus-Cheek and Mason Mount tucking inside. It meant the attacking players had to do a lot of work. But now, all of a sudden, we're starting to pin them back because look at all these options we have.
Yeah.
We've got Richarlison running in behind here. We've got Kane lurking around and running in behind. We've got Kulusevski tucking inside. We've got Son tucking inside. Then obviously Davis. We've got Davis and Emerson trying to help out and overlap, although I don't feel like they did do too much of that when they got on, but they were trying to help support. All of a sudden we started to outnumber them going forward, but exactly.
It was at the other end of the pitch where our problems really came.
Exactly. Even in this formation, even without the changes from Tuchel, they still got a lot of joy in these spaces. However, we got a bit lucky because Loftus-Cheek was getting a lot of joy and space around here, but he wasn't being decisive enough. He wasn't really. Loftus-Cheek was getting a lot of possession, but he didn't really do much with it. He kind of just was being threatening without scoring. I think Raheem. The problem here as well, because we now move through back two, Sterling and Havertz were getting a lot more joy down the centre as well. That was hurting us. But we did get the equaliser, and once we did get the equaliser, we were hoping that it was going to be our turn to start maybe going on and trying to win the game. But then Tuchel got back, and after that change, he took off Jorginho, and he brought on Azpilicueta, wherever he is. I don't have him. I don't think. Oh no, I do have him. He's here. So he brought off Jorginho. He brings on Azpilicueta here, and what he did was he moved Loftus-Cheek into the centre, so he didn't have to be so wasteful. He put Reece James at right wing back, and then he put Azpilicueta here at right centre back. And what it meant was he was stretching the play so much, even though Ben Davis was going a bit more defensive because we had equalised. Because they were so stretched, all of a sudden, as Reece James was purely a wing back as opposed to a right centre back, so he was hugging the touchline here, and because they had all these players here, Ben Davis was tucking in and Dyer was looking at Havertz. Ben Davis was looking at Sterling, who had the ball for the goal, and then obviously left all this space on the right hand side for Reece James. And Son was losing a lot of energy at this time, so he wasn't tracking back. And obviously after they scored, we made the substitutions, taking Son off.
All we had to do was hold on for one more minute, literally.
Yeah.
One more, 30 more seconds, really. All we had to do was the ball to go out of play one time for us to change our system and our personnel and stuff like that. Who was it? Basuma and Perisic were waiting in the wings to come on. It was just so frustrating.
And then obviously they scored, he was just completely feed Reece James, and it was another good move tactically from Tuchel. And I think that's also maybe why we saw those wild celebrations, because I think he kind of knew, I got one over on Conte with that move. And I think the goal was a consequence of his tactical manoeuvring.
However lucky we got to get away with that from a point, with a point there, because of how dominant Chelsea were for the whole game, I still feel like we were a bit unlucky with that situation, because the change was there, ready to be made. It was literally ready to be made. Conte saw what needed to be done. It was just that second too late. Yeah,
which was really frustrating, obviously, as well. So then but once we did make the changes, we were a bit better as well. So we took off Son, we brought on Perisic. So we moved back to a back three. Where is he? Perisic here. So we moved back to a back three. We took off Bentancur, didn't we? We put on Basuma. And then we went back to this formation, put Richarlison back on the left of the front three, Kane there. And all of a sudden, instead of James getting all this space here, we actually pinned him back a bit. And I think you saw that by the fact that how many times you saw Perisic in those spaces taking on Reece James. And we saw it many, many times during that little period where Perisic was on, and that actually allowed us to gain a bit more control back in the game once we made those subs. And obviously Perisic was our main source of threat kind of in that last 10 minutes, but it did take some set pieces for us to actually make an impact in the final third. We didn't actually have too many opportunities from open play. But once we did make those subs, Basuma as well coming on, I think had a decent impact as well. And that's how we gained a bit of control back in the game. We obviously got the set pieces and we got the equaliser. So it was actually yesterday a really fascinating tactical battle between Tuchel and Conte.
I said when I called into the fan show yesterday, it was a bit like a game of chess yesterday. And obviously Tuchel won that tactical battle, but ultimately you're going to be judged on results, and we got the result yesterday. So I think you got to give praise to Antonio Conte and the Spurs players for just to keep sticking in there, keep plugging away, and to show that grit and mentality to come back twice at Stamford Bridge, which is impressive. But you know, Chelsea and Tuchel are going to be very annoyed with that result and with the way the game panned out in the end, because they did deserve to win the game. So I think anything else for you from the match review?
No, I'll just say that people are now talking up Chelsea after that game. And I would say even though they did play well, it kind of reminds me of like for example, when we played like Liverpool last season, where we like kind of dominated and we got loads of chances and played them off the park, but we missed our chances, end up drawing the game. It kind of reminded me of that a bit from last season, where even though we were at our very best, we couldn't get over the line. I think it was very similar for Chelsea yesterday, and I don't think it's going to be indicative of yet. I think it's definitely indicative of them being better than we thought they were for sure during the game, but I don't think it's going to be indicative of them outlasting us this season over the long haul. I don't think. I still think I see a lot of I still see a lack of killer instinct from them in the final third, and I think that could haunt them against other sides who are more determined to sit back and try and get the draw, because I don't think we went for the draw yesterday. Obviously we tried to win, and I still think, even though they're at their best and they're impressive, like I don't know whether in the long term they're going to be finishing above us. Although they're definitely going to challenge, I think.
Do you think that people underestimated Chelsea then coming into this season a little bit?
Definitely. I think you got to see their quality. They got a good team out there. Look at the team.
There's more to come as well.
You know, they got a good team. So it's whether they can get, as I said before, if they can get everyone pulling in the same direction, get any toxic voices out of the dressing room and all that kind of stuff, then I think they have a very good base of a team. They've got a very good manager in Tuchel, who is going to obviously keep standards high. And I think that they have bought well as well. They've bought some really good players. I just think, like, we have Kane and Son, who are who really have that killer instinct in the final third. We're in Sterling, Havertz and Mount and whoever else they have up front. They just don't have that at the moment. They're too easily containable in open play, I feel, right now. So I feel when we're at our best, when we get those chances, we're going to be able to score more goals than they are. And I think that's going to be the story of who's going to finish above who during the season. But for sure, if they can maybe get a striker in, and I think they got a very good basis of a very solid team there. And I think we did underestimate them. I think we did underestimate. I think personnel-wise they are.
Because Arsenal got a bit more killer instinct with like Gabriel Jesus and people like that up front.
Well, yes and no. I would say Jesus' problem throughout his whole City career is his lack of killer instinct.
I think he would have been a really good signing in this Chelsea team.
I think so as well.
And I think they missed the trick by getting him, to be honest.
Yeah.
But look, we'll have to see how it pans out. It's only second game of the season, so a lot of football left to be played. I think we've got to be happy with that point, snatch and grab point. We take it and we move on. But I want to see a much better performance next weekend, that's for sure.
Yeah, you have these games, don't you, where you do not at your best. And you know, imagine you're not being at your best away at top 16, you still claim a point. That's only a positive thing.
Absolutely.
And even if you're challenging with big things, you're going to have games like that.
I completely agree.
You know, and I don't think it's anything to make sweeping judgments about how good we are just because we struggled in this game. I think I think we should all have expected a struggle, and I think the fact that we thought it was going to be easier than it was maybe goes to the fact that we underestimated the occasion.
And let's be honest, you look at Liverpool, I don't think they won a game at the top 6 away whole of last season. I think they drew every single one.
Yeah.
So a draw away at the top 6 sides, whoever you're playing, is a good result. So I'll take it any day of the week, whether we played good or bad. So look, that's our match review for the Chelsea game. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Before we move on to Twitter Reacts, we're going to get through a few of the super chats. Michael Hellman, a member for 11 months, says, random stat. Last year, Man City had 6 draws. Liverpool had 8 draws. Our performance is excusable if we do not drop points against the bottom table sides. And I think this is spot on, to be honest. I think the performance is excusable anyway if you can get the job done and get a result. And I think that's clear that we just need to be more consistent against those teams.
I don't think I look at yesterday and think this is down to lack of effort and desire and all those things. I think those things are all there.
It was all down to tactics, really.
Exactly, and that's what got us the point. So I think the reason why we struggled, I think you look, as much as it pains me to say, I think you have to look at Conte a bit as to why we struggled yesterday so badly during the game. And I think obviously he made steps to try and fix that, and that's what we got the point from. But I think our struggles and why we look so bad, I don't think was on the players being really bad or being inexcusable and all these kind of things. It was a tactical issue, and for me, if you're going to blame someone for yesterday, it's Conte. For me, unfortunately.
Keith D with the super chat says, no red card for Romero. Only action to follow is that Cucurella should get a haircut.
Brilliant.
I think there was another one in there somewhere as well. Let me just try find it. Here we go. Michael Hellman with super chat. Big up, Michael, says, I feel that the wing backs didn't create enough momentum and key plays. As Conte says, being brave off the ball. We don't need a cam this transfer window if we see more of a threat factor from the wings. And I agree. I don't think Emerson or Sessegnon did it anywhere near enough going forward. But again, that was due to the tactics and the tactical battle that we saw on the pitch yesterday.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think they were, first of all, Cucurella and well, it wasn't quite Reece James, but on that side of the pitch, they just have, I think at the moment, they're better players right now.
Yeah.
So it's difficult in one-on-one situations to get the better of them. I feel like they definitely lack the confidence. I actually thought Emerson had a bit more composure about him than Sessegnon, and I think defensively as well, Emerson was a lot stronger than Sessegnon was. I thought Sessegnon was a bit all at sea, to be honest, for a lot of the time. But they won't be facing that formation and those kind of players every week, so hopefully they can improve.
Yeah, and another one here from Avmaster, member for 7 months, says, no red card for Conte. Tuchel ignited it by continuing to hold on to Conte's hand. Anyway, great result. Come on, you Spurs, and big up both of you for the amazing content. Big up, Avmaster. Thanks for the kind words. We never actually spoke about the Conte and Tuchel red card. Why did Conte...
Oh. No, it's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent connection.
Yeah, we're back. Sorry about that. Go on, carry on what we were saying.
I think the referee sent them both off. I think he must have thought there was a fight, which actually wasn't quite as bad as he thought. That's the only reason I can think he sent them both off, because nothing really happened apart from a few, a few words and and that handshake. Nothing really bad happened that was worthy of a sending off. Ali Gold said this morning he reckons if they appeal, then it will be overturned
For both of them?
Yeah, he reckons. And
I don't see why not.
Yeah,
I don't see why not. I mean, it was just a heated moment. You know what I mean? Nothing.
It was completely
unnecessary.
It was completely unnecessary, the red card, I mean.
And I think that the way all the players came running over and the whole big melee was also a bit overstated for the actual thing that happened. Because
you got to back up your manager, though.
Yeah, of course you do. But if the players don't come over, that exchange is probably over in a second.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So those are the super chats. Let's get into Twitter Reacts now. Let's see how Twitter reacted to the ferocious game at Stamford Bridge yesterday. Battle of the Bridge 2, people are calling it.
Yeah, honestly, and it was up there. First of all, Conte on Instagram yesterday. Did you see this?
Yeah, I saw this. He deleted it quite quickly.
Did he delete it?
Yeah.
He says, lucky I didn't see you. Making your trip over would have been well deserved. No, I'm not sure what he means by that. Maybe he's thinking if he would have seen Tuchel running, well, because he was looking away, was he? He was looking down. maybe he would have done something.
He would have tripped him up or something.
That would be so, oh my God, if Conte would have tripped up Tuchel at that moment, that would have been the best thing I've ever seen. But yeah, clearly Conte still thinking about it after the game. It was one of the great manager moments, I think, in recent Premier League history, that square up. You don't see that too often, do you?
No, I mean, the last time...
You had Arteta versus Klopp a bit, but Arteta kind of...
The last time that happened with the Spurs manager, from what I can remember, is Martin Jol and Arsene Wenger. Was that the last time two managers squared up on the Spurs sidelines?
Did Poch ever square up to anyone?
Only to the ref.
He squared up to the ref once. He was too respectful, wasn't he? Mourinho must have done it once or twice, no?
Don't remember
Guardiola.
Don't remember
Again to the
Mourinho
ref.
doing it.
Nuno definitely didn't. We know that for sure. Yeah, you're right. Maybe it was. Yeah, Redknapp wasn't the type to do that as well. But yeah, that was...
Dave Hamilton says Joe Jordan in the San Siro, but that was with Gattuso. That wasn't with a manager.
That was also a great moment. Someone says Jose definitely. Yeah, remind us. I think I've got a feeling Pochettino might have done it with someone, but I can't remember who. He squared up with the Southampton manager. Poch did. Well, Hassan Hootel. I don't remember that. Matt Law says that was the best I've seen Chelsea play for quite a while, but Kante's injury a concern. Such a different team with him. Spurs struggled but hung in there and now have a subs bench, which is a big plus and a difference to last season. And I think that did make a big difference during the game. The fact that we had such strength in depth. I think if you compare that, for example, last season when we lost at the Bridge, like we went 1-0 down. And then I think we did make similar changes to try change it, but we just didn't have the quality to really impact the game, even though we were losing at the time. But this time, even though we were being dominated, we had quality to come on and impact the performance and impact the game, even against such quality opposition like Chelsea. And that was very important. And it also encourages me for maybe games even against lesser teams when we're struggling or we need a goal or something, and we can have these different options to come on. And I think that 4-2-2-2 we changed to. If we play that against, like, for example, like a Brighton or a Brentford or something, when we're like last
Wolves
season,
this weekend.
or Wolves, like if we're losing or something, I don't think we're ever going to start with that. I really don't think. But if we ever need a goal, I mean that formation could really be a killer for us.
Yeah, it's just that we can't play that formation against teams that are going to destroy us the other way on the counter-attack or something like that.
I mean, that formation's a very attacking formation, so naturally you're going to have to leave a bit of risk.
Completely out at sea at defence in that formation.
One thing actually I didn't point out as well, I was a bit disappointed with yesterday was our defence in terms of the physicality. I felt Havertz bullied Dyer a few times, and that should not be happening. And when you look at the other defenders from Chelsea, Koulibaly and Silva, no one in the Premier League is bullying them. You know what I mean? And to see someone like Havertz, who I know he's tall, but he's not the strongest guy, he's not the most physically imposing guy. To have him bullying Dyer occasionally was a bit disappointing.
And also, I felt that Romero wasn't as physically dominant as he usually is in games as well yesterday. So. It wasn't great to see, to be honest, the defence yesterday. It's just a Stamford Bridge hoodoo. I mean, you go in there, you take a point, no matter what the performance is like. So you got to be happy with it. But you got to say that if this game happened last season and we didn't have anyone on the bench to change it to last season, we were going to bring on Steven Bergwijn and who else?
Lucas or something. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Lucas would have been starting, before Kulusevski came. So I mean, we had literally nobody. So if this situation happened last season, we lose that game 100%.
Yeah, probably 2 or 3 down.
Yeah.
Here was the moment everyone was talking about. Conte squaring up to Tuchel. Who was the aggressor here? You reckon it was Tuchel?
It's 1,000,000% Tuchel. Come on, man. How's that even a question?
And then obviously it caused a melee. Well, Tuchel demanding that Conte look in his eyes.
Did you see his press conference after Conte?
Yes, I did.
Did you see the comments, what he was saying? He was like, maybe next time I'll look him in the eyes or something.
Yeah. There you go. And then they got sent off. But that face has been memed so much. That face that Conte makes, there. Yeah. He's like, what is going? Who does this guy think he is? Yeah, you're right. Conte wanted to probably get out there quickly, but Tuchel wasn't having any of it. But it was one of the great moments. Alfie, this is Romero letting Conte try on Cucurella's hair in the dressing room.
Yeah, I saw that.
Absolutely brilliant. One wig to another. I thought that was quite funny. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, it's music. Well, I'll take it down. Here was Romero after squaring up to Reece James. After the Spurs
Yeah,
scored.
I love that. I love
Absolute
Romero
shithousery.
so much. I mean, it reminds me of last year against Maguire as well, after we scored at Old Trafford. I mean, we did end up losing that game, but Romero is just full of it. He's
Honestly, he can't help
absolutely
himself.
full of it.
Can't
I
help
love
himself. This Chelsea versus Spurs at full time. Him trying to shake his hand. I thought it was quite funny.
I don't know this video.
No, it's just some guy trying to shake his hand. He's getting blocked off.
No.
Looks angry. That was, I think it's quite funny. Harry Kane jumping into the crowd after scoring.
Oh, that was lovely.
Absolute scenes, Harry Kane.
We're getting used to these last-minute goals.
Yeah,
as well
honestly,
now,
under
aren't we?
Conte, it's happening a few times, isn't it? The passion. Look at the passion in Kane's face there. Absolutely brilliant. And actually, people talk about Kane having a poor game yesterday, which you can make an argument. But again, pretty much everything good we did was through Kane. He set up that chance for Sessegnon early on. He set up another chance for Son in the second half, which he fluffed. He obviously went through on goal, which he missed, and then he scored right at the end.
He was probably. I mean, look, like I said before in the match review, I don't think any Spurs player comes away saying that I had a good game yesterday. I don't think any of them do. But I think there are a few players on the pitch that can say that they were the better players, and I think that was definitely Harry Kane was definitely in that camp.
Yeah, definitely. People say, I don't see anyone talking about this. He's claiming that Cucurella could have seen red with this. Look, does he stamp on Romero's knee there?
Looks like it from that still.
Maybe that's what Romero was giving retribution
Romero
for.
never forgets.
He never forgets. Even like different games, he'll never forget. Like 2 years ago, this guy wiped me. I'm going to wipe him out this game. He'll never forget. So maybe this picture's got something to do with why. Because I remember, wasn't he down for like a minute or two? Wasn't he near the beginning of the game? So it must have been for this challenge. But no one's talking about it. I have to see it again whether Cucurella got lucky not to see red or not.
Wasn't when he swiped out Richarlison last season, like from a long-standing battle with him or something?
Yeah, exactly. I think that was from international duty, I think, as well. Absolutely love it. This was after, I think this was after our first goal. Someone just said Conte cam's going to be amazing to watch later. And that was Conte celebrating right in front of Tuchel. Absolutely love it. Just getting in his face. They were both booked after this. Mate, Conte is just box office.
He is such a bad loser.
Who, Tuchel?
Yeah. Such a bad loser. I mean, his passion is great to watch, and it's great to see managers like him and Conte go head to head. But like, he is such a bad loser, man. Like, he'll so happily like celebrate in front of someone else's bench, but then when Conte celebrates, he can't handle it.
He's brilliant. Nashville Spurs says Monday mood. Just Conte.
Yeah, didn't you say someone's making a flag of this?
Are they? Who said that?
Didn't you say that
I
to
said
me?
that.
Didn't you say that to me? Oh, someone said it to me yesterday that someone on Twitter sent this image to the flags company and they said they're going to make the flag.
That would be brilliant. Yeah, I'd love that. That'd be a great flag. And let's have a quick look at Reddit as well, because I saved a few posts on there. 1 second. So there's obviously, this is the hair pull everyone's talking about. Romero and Cucurella. Yeah, I can't really justify no red card there. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, he's very lucky, but that's
how many times did decisions go against us? Like time and time again in the Premier League, and all you have to do is look back at last year when we played Chelsea. Didn't Harry Kane score a perfectly good goal that was ruled for offside or something? Last season.
Again, no, that was when he literally tapped Silva on the.
Oh, that was it.
Back
that was it. Yeah.
Given a foul.
Yeah, you know what I mean. What goes around comes around.
Exactly. That was never a foul. That should have been a goal. Conte and Romero versus Chelsea. This is against Cucurella. Absolutely brilliant.
Love that.
Just beating the crap out of them.
I love these things. It's so funny.
It's a bit static. One says it better.
Yeah, it's not showing well on the screen, but
Well, you get the gist.
it's actually no, it's not. All right, go on, move on.
You get the gist. What's it called? This picture is like a Renaissance painting, apparently, but of Tuchel and Conte. They were comparing it to an old painting, which is quite funny. Yeah, I found that hilarious. Gotta love that. This is the Bentancur tackle.
He gets the ball clearly.
Does he get the ball? He does get a slight touch on it. He gets a slight nick on it.
Even if that
You can
was a
slow
foul,
it right down.
Even if that was a foul, though, do you think the goal should have been chalked off? Because it seemed like so far back anyway. Like different.
No,
players
it
have
shouldn't
played
have affected the
completely.
goal, but it should have been a foul.
Yeah.
And just slow it right down. There, he gets like a stud on it. He gets a slight stud on it there. But does he go through Havertz? That's the question. Does he go through Havertz? No, I don't think he does. He goes round Havertz. He goes round him, and he nicks the ball. So I think he's lucky.
I think that's
But
fine.
he's lucky he gets a slight touch, but he gets a slight touch on it. I think that's conclusive. Bam. There's obviously the away end was absolute scenes.
Oh, it was buzzing yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely
buzzing. Spurs away crowd back to its best. First away game of the season. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. You can see how happy everyone is claiming a point. Are they too happy claiming a point, or was that just even though it's not a winner, it's only a point, but is it justified?
I think it is justified. I mean, it's not like Arsenal celebrating a draw at home to Palace or some, you know what I mean, like those embarrassing moments that they have. This is a ground which we've been so bad at. Like I said, haven't scored against Chelsea pretty much since 2018. Big London derby. You're always going to celebrate like that if you get a last-minute equaliser, especially if we don't deserve it.
Yeah, true. And then this was quite funny. The real reason why Conte was so unhappy with the handshake says, "We fucking love touching himself." Then he handshakes with Havertz. Havertz handshakes with Tuchel, and Tuchel handshakes with Conte. I thought that was fantastic, absolutely brilliant. Yeah,
The chain of events.
Exactly led to that moment. But there you have it. That's all we have from Twitter and Reddit.
All right, so that is how Twitter and Reddit reacted to the game, the 2-2 yesterday at Stamford Bridge. Let us know your comments as well in the live chat and the comments section below. Next up, it is your time to have your say. The call-in link is in the community section as well. But before we do get into the callers, we've got a super chat from Faz Radfar says, "I love Romero, but he will get sent off this season." I mean, I think that's pretty much a given.
Yeah, he will at some point. It's just it will be like a bingo which one he gets sent off in. I wouldn't be surprised if it is a derby. I just hope it doesn't cost us when it happens. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, let's hope not. But do we have guests? Yeah. We got guests. They'll be with us very, very shortly. And we might have a Chelsea fan coming on as well.
Oh, Chelsea fan.
But it looks as though our first guest is going to be Grandpa Brian. So looking forward to getting him on in a second. We're just lining him up. Let me just get these headphones ready.
Apparently, Barca demanding 30 million euros for Aubameyang from Chelsea.
30 million. Do Grandpa first. No data. No data. It says excellent collection now.
Oh, okay, it's back. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, Awesome All with the super chat saying, "Please Tottenham buy Adama as an impact player on the right and Zaniolo as an impact player to avoid Kane dropping to the middle." What would you say about that?
And as an impact, please buy Adama as an impact player on the right and Zaniolo as an impact player to avoid Kane dropping to the middle. I would like Zaniolo. I don't see a need for Adama right now. And I think Kane, I think at this point in his career, he's always going to have to drop in the middle sometimes. And I think it helps him. I think it helps the team. But obviously, you don't want him to be too much because you still want him to be that goal threat. But I think his playmaking abilities now are just too good to ignore. You know what I mean? So that needs to be an element of his game now.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, let's start bringing on some guests. And first of all, we came to your place yesterday and we robbed you blind, Mr. Carefree Lewis. Let's bring him on. Lewis, how's it going,
Yes,
my brother?
guys.
How you
What's
doing?
everyone
Good to see
saying?
you,
What are
Lewis.
you
You
guys
Good to see
saying?
you.
you good?
You happy with the win yesterday?
You know what, Lewis? Yeah, you should have taken those 3 points yesterday, but you just couldn't get that third goal, put the ball in the back of the net. You had a lot of chances. Kai Havertz, Raheem Sterling. Why didn't you win that game yesterday? And don't just talk about the referee. Talk about the football.
I mean, in terms of football, it's the same old stuff from us. I already said we're not the worst attack in the top six, and I don't really rely on them to win games on us because I don't really trust them like that. It's the same typical Chelsea from last season, personally, where we're relying on goals from our wing backs, goals from our centre backs because our attack can't really cut it. You're right, Sterling should have buried his chance, Havertz should have buried his chance. To me, though, like the number one talking point, though, it's not even the first goal. Like, I agree, the Havertz foul and everything, at the most, it's a 50-50. I'm not really too fussed about that. The second one, that is a clear hair pull. And
Yeah.
the referee is in perfect vision for that. And he completely ignored it. VAR completely ignored it. And you guys scored in a resounding corner kick, which, to be honest, was still marked poorly by us. You guys had four
It
players
was.
in the middle completely
Yeah.
clear. So that was a bit of a mess up on our part as well. But the big factor to me is that that should have been a foul Chelsea's way. The second goal doesn't happen. And that would have been the reason why we won the game. So I
Yeah.
can't even really look at it from a Chelsea perspective because I thought defensively we were excellent. In midfield, I thought we were excellent, bar that little Jorginho error for Højbjerg's goal. And in attack, like, even though our finishing boots are never on and they're never going to be on, I still thought there were better performances from Havertz and Mount than I've seen over the last few weeks and in pre-season. So I can't look at the performance and say Chelsea let themselves down. I think we did the best that we could. Everyone put everything on the line on that pitch. Just got screwed over by the referee at the end of it.
Lewis, you know that kind of formation you played yesterday with James kind of centre back and then Loftus-Cheek at wing back, and then it kind of changes when you're in possession to like a back four. Is that like a plan Tuchel had for the way we play, or is that something you do in general?
I've seen us change formation in game. I've also heard from like numerous sources that like Tuchel likes going with a 4-2-2 to try and combat a back three. And I did see it happen again. That was a big reason for why we were so dominant in possession with the two strikers up top, the extra bodies in midfield as well. That's where we got the best out of Mason Mount too. So yeah, I do think the formation played a good factor in why we were able to dominate the game for large periods. But another thing was the mental block. I keep saying like Tottenham, for as good as you guys are and how much you guys have improved under Antonio Conte, coming to Stamford Bridge is still you guys' biggest test, and it showed again yesterday. You guys struggled, and it's not because Tottenham are a bad team. I don't think you guys are. I still think the race for third place is going to be very tight between the two of us and just the two of us. But coming to Stamford Bridge is you guys' hardest test. And we know how much it means, not how much it means to you guys to come and get a result here, even though we did see it with the scenes at full time and everything. But the fact you guys were able to stay resilient and even pull out a result at the last minute kind of shows how far you guys have gone under Conte, even with the issues with the refereeing and everything like that. But it is what it is. It really is what it is. I'm fuming with the end of it, but I'm not fuming with the performance from Chelsea. I think we should have got the result against you guys, but Anthony Taylor tax. Same.
Lewis, yeah, I completely agree when you say that Chelsea away probably is our hardest game of the season, because I think that Man City, the way Man City and Liverpool play, kind of plays into the way we like to play our football. With them leading a lot of space in behind for Sonny and Kane to work their magic and Kulusevski. But how do you stack up the two teams? I know you say it's going to be a hard battle between Chelsea and Spurs, but how do you stack up the two teams now, and who do you actually think is going to finish above each other?
I can't say anything till the window's done, because if the window closed right now, I would probably lean closer towards Tottenham, because I think you guys have sorted out more areas than we have to right now. We still need to get a centre back in. We still have to get a goal scorer in or a creator as a bare minimum. I did want right wing back depth, but after the way Loftus-Cheek's been playing in that position, I think I could be comfortable with him being our depth for the season in that position. And Tuchel already seems comfortable with his midfield. So unless Frankie de Jong comes in, which, I mean, we're not going to know until the stalemate between him and Barcelona are sorted out. All depends. If we get the striker, we get the centre-back sorted, I think we'd comfortably finish third. Even if you guys would give us a little bit more of a challenge, I'd be more confident in Chelsea to be able to do it. If we don't get those areas sorted, long season for us, long season. So God knows right now. I can only tell you at the end of the season. Well, end of the window.
Before the game, there was a lot of confident Tottenham fans and a lot of maybe pessimistic kind of Chelsea fans going into this game, thinking this could be one of the moments where Tottenham finally go to Stamford Bridge and win. But
Not if you watch Lewis with expressions.
Obviously, Lewis is always going to be confident, isn't he? But obviously, the game didn't pan out like that. You obviously dominated, and although you only got the draw, but with the manner of your performance, does that give you more confidence going to the season, or do you think maybe it was just a case of you upped your game because it was Tottenham at home, and maybe when it's other different teams, you might struggle in a different way?
A bit of both, really. Like, I could say Chelsea played really well in this sort of game, but like I've said earlier about the mental block with you guys, and I didn't think Tottenham were going to be at their best for this sort of game either. So I don't really want to get ahead of myself with the performance, even though I'm happy with the way that we played. I thought it's the best I've seen Chelsea play in God knows how long. We've been utterly atrocious this year for like 9/10 of 2022. So I can't really say it was all Chelsea, because like I already said, it's really hard for you guys when it comes to Stamford Bridge. And from a Chelsea perspective as well, they always seem to kick it up a gear when we play Tottenham at home. We've played some dreadful starting 11s against you guys, and we've still produced brilliant performances out of it. But then we've played that same starting 11 against other teams, and we've looked crap. So I can't say like that gives me complete confidence, but it's something to build on. If we play like that against Leeds and then we take it to Southampton and we play like that over the next few games, great. But I don't think that performance also says Tottenham are overhyping themselves or anything. I do think your fans kind of overhyped the game a little bit, because I said this: if Tottenham come and get a performance at Stamford Bridge, that says more to me than the transfer window, than Antonio Conte, than anything. Because it's about beating your mental blocks in terms of getting results at Chelsea, getting results at Arsenal, winning trophies, because those are the three things that you guys have struggled to do. If you guys can start to do it, that says a lot to me about where Tottenham are going. But I have to see that first. I've heard so much confidence about Spurs going into Chelsea games before it. Chelsea have been in terrible positions going into matches against you guys. I remember before we went into lockdown, we played Tottenham and we had like 9 first-team players out, and we still went and got a result. That's why, to me, like regardless of the state of Chelsea, the state of Tottenham, we just know what usually happens at this game. Chelsea turn up, Tottenham seem to struggle, but then you lot still came out of it with a result, which is why you guys could take that as a confident front. You lot came to Chelsea, you dealt with the best that Chelsea had to give you for 90 minutes, and you still managed to leave with something. So even though like I think the celebrations were utterly shameless and everything, I get it. I get it. I totally understand it. Yesterday, my head was hot. I was watching the celebration. These lot drew the game. What are they doing? Now, like, I've had the time to sleep. I've had time to spark up and everything. I get it.
Well, Lewis, I need to ask you this question. Who wins in a fight, Conte or Tuchel?
Oh, Tuchel.
No
Tuchel every time.
way.
Conte
No
didn't
chance.
even want to look him in the eyes. I don't want to pick up Conte, though. I'm not even going to slander him. That's still my guy and everything. I love Conte. But, nah, he couldn't even look Tuchel in the eyes. Sorry, Tuchel smokes him.
Who's the better manager?
I still say Tuchel's more flexible. This is the thing for me. It's just we haven't got the chance to see it with this Chelsea side because the personnel's wank. Once we give Tuchel the full squad of players that he wants, then you'll see us start to implement even more formations and just sticking with a back five.
Yeah, but he spent 100 million on Lukaku. That was Tuchel spending that. You know what I mean? I kind of
Tuchel
find
didn't want him. There was a board signing. Tuchel just said, "I'm cool with it," but he didn't necessarily say, "Give me Lukaku." That was a board signing.
Right. Oh, interesting.
I'm loving the fire back in these games, though, because that's probably the most fiery Spurs-Chelsea game since Battle of the Bridge, which also ended 2-2, didn't it? Back in, when was it, 2017 or whatever it was. But how much of the fire are you loving in these games? And do you think that it was a red card warranted for both of the managers?
I think they were only given the red card because it got heated the first time and then it got heated again and the referee completely lost control. So I kind of get it. They both got given the same treatment, so it's at least fair treatment all around. But yeah, I love this fire, man. I keep saying Chelsea beat Tottenham.
Let go of his hand.
What? Wait, what was that?
I was like, how's that fair when Tuchel's the one that wouldn't let go of his hand?
You can say Tuchel was disrespectful, but Conte didn't look him in the eyes. That's a disrespect in itself. It is what it is. But like
Tuchel's not worth his time of day. He's not worth his time of day.
Anything.
Yeah.
What?
Saying Tuchel's not worth Conte's time of day. That's why. Doesn't need to look
tell
at him.
Tell Conte to get a Champions League and then he can talk, innit?
All right, big up, Lewis. Thanks for coming on. And
no worries. Good to talk, as always.
Yeah, 100%. Hopefully, we'll catch up again when it comes back and you come down to North London this time, and we finally take 3 points off you in the Premier League.
3-point lane. I can't wait for it, my friends. Take care.
Old school.
Have a great day. It was great to talk, as always. Big up.
Nice to see you, Lewis.
And to you, bro. Speak to you soon. Big up, Lewis, as always.
Shout out to Lewis. There was a super chat here.
Yeah, go on.
From Anup Narianan. Anup Narianan. Sorry if I butchered that. He says, that's a fantastic tackle from Bentancur. He didn't go through Havertz, but he went around him and got the ball. And I have to agree. I think once you slow down that challenge, I can understand why Tuchel was aggrieved at the beginning, but I think the referee got it right actually. But I find it hard to believe that the referee saw that touch.
Yeah.
But I still think maybe
whether he saw it or not is the correct decision.
He got the right decision. So
yeah. All right, let's get on Grandpa. Grandpa,
Right.
how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Great.
Good to hear. Did you enjoy the game yesterday?
I enjoyed the game. In fact, I was out, so I had to record it.
Oh.
And, I was screaming and shouting at the television.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
A few things that haven't been mentioned and that I think that's worth noting. I think, first of all, what was really interesting that he actually started with his same team again that he did pre the season. And that was really interesting because I thought he would make one or two changes, but he didn't. And I think he did that for a reason, because he really wanted to pick out where the weaknesses were. And there was two. I mean, Chelsea were brilliant. I mean, they beat us at every level. They were holding the ball. They were passing better. They were more brutal. They were pushing harder. In that first half, they were really good. And the two weak links, surprisingly, was Son, who wasn't holding the ball at all and making missed passes, and Sessegnon. I mean, Sessegnon wasn't running fast enough. He was getting beaten all the time. And I think they were the weak links, which is why he changed them quite quickly. In the second half, I think then he started to bring on a couple of the players, and they did make a difference. Not just to the fact that they were winning the ball more often, but there was much more strength there. And Perisic, I thought, was just great. And I think the one thing we don't give him credit for, I've always thought that we should have somebody that can throw the ball from the touchline into the box. And the one throw in he had. And I think that's a fantastic asset to have.
Haven't had that since Gareth Bale, have we, Grandpa?
Well, that's right. So I think I think that they were the good points. And it's very hard to say who the man of the match was, but I think I would give it to Royal. The way he got those two crosses in front of the goal right from that touchline were really quite clever. And they were one of the two that we could have had goals from both of them.
Absolutely. I mean, Royale's creeping up as your favourite player, Grandpa. What's going on?
He is at the moment. I'm surprised myself, but they haven't got any. At the moment, they haven't got anybody better on that wing. I don't think.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, but it was interesting. I mean, and I really believe that Conte was being a perfect gentleman at the end. He went up and he went to shake his hand, and he was treated so badly. And I think Conte should never have had a red card, or even the yellow card initially, because it was Tuchel that was running up and down the line, running out of the area. He should have got a yellow card for running out of the area, and he didn't. So I think Conte behaved himself as best he really could.
Should he have looked him in the eyes?
Who knows whether he's looking in his eyes? So often when you see these shaking hands, people don't look into each other's eyes.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And if they did, he would. And if he had looked into his eye, he would have seen fire coming out. and it would have got burnt.
Grandpa, in terms of the game yesterday, is it more positive that we got the point, or is it a bit concerning just the manner of the performance and the fact that we struggled so badly?
No, it's absolutely more because we got the point, and because he made the changes he did, showed how he can strengthen that team as we go forward. Our old team didn't play well at all against them, but as soon as they brought on 2 or 3 of the others, it made a huge difference. And I think that's what he was trying to find out. And I think he found it out. And I think that from my point, we're now from 1st to 4th. I think that we're gonna stay and go up above that as the season goes on. I'm very excited. I still feel very good about Conte and what he's doing, how he's playing it, and is really a very good manager. So it's very exciting. I'm still going for us to win the league.
Win the league, jeez, Grandpa.
What do you think? What do you think it does for the players when they see Conte going at it on the touchline like that? How do you think the players react to that?
Oh, I think they know Conte's behind them. I think it's great, and hearing you guys up in the gods there, well, you weren't in the gods, we were down low. That's great for the players. And what do you think of the Chelsea thing about when Tuchel goes mad? I mean, he went far madder than Conte, on the first goal than I've ever seen a manager. He ran the whole length.
Yeah.
And he's very fast, actually. He's very nimble, isn't he, Tuchel?
Maybe they should play him up front.
But yeah, maybe they should. That's right, and give him more red cards. But yeah, it was an exciting match, and I think good for us. I think we were actually showing how some of the players that he's bought can actually make a difference to the team. And that's really important, because he hasn't been able to show that so far. Because against Southampton, they didn't come on till late. I think the only thing I would have done, I would have made those changes at halftime.
Yeah, I think me and Sim both said that in the stadium, that we needed changes at halftime. But they did come. They did make a positive impact in the game. I mean, you were talking about Perisic before, how well he played when he came on. Would you start him against Wolves instead of Sessegnon?
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm kind of swaying to that side as well. Would you start him, Sim?
I think I would now. Just the way he impacted the game and how badly Sessegnon struggled. I mean, look, is it harsh because Sessegnon had a very good game first game, but I don't know. Perisic's seem. It depends if he's fully fit. If Conte thinks he's fully fit and ready to go, because Conte said after the game he's still not 100%. He feels so. If he feels he's 100% going to the game of Wolves, then I think I think you have to start him.
All right, Grandpa. Great call as always. Thanks for calling in.
Nice to see you, Grandpa.
And I'll be there. I'll be there at Wolves, so they definitely will win.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks for coming on, Grandpa. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Always great to get Grandpa on, as always.
And Kane, Kane now under Conte has 7 goals in 7 games against the top 6.
It's impressive.
Is he shaking off that tag of not a big game player? Do you reckon?
I think every big player, apart from like Messi, Lewandowski, and Ronaldo, have that tag. Because these games are the hardest games to score. So
obviously you're not going to
score you're not going to score every single time. But Kane has made a career out of scoring in London derbies, which are our biggest games. So I don't get this whole narrative that Kane doesn't turn up in big games, because he does.
Yeah, it's just a myth.
It's a myth. I mean, yes, fine, he hasn't turned up in cup finals and maybe some semi-finals, but that's a whole Tottenham thing. It's not just a Harry Kane thing.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And definitely him, but I think Conte hopefully is turning him into a bit of a big game beast. He seems to be having a lot of big good performances in big games under Conte.
Is that the first time he scored at Stamford Bridge, or has he scored before at Stamford Bridge?
He scored in the Battle of the Bridge.
Oh, the Battle of the Bridge, yeah. All right, let's move on and let's get Brad Matthews on. Brad, what's that?
Come
What's
on.
that hand? What's that handle
Oh,
in your?
I can't see. Sorry, I can't look in your eyes. Sorry, what was that again?
Brilliant.
What's that handle in your name over there? BS.
Oh.
So
Thank you. Right, I've got a YouTube channel called Blue Sofa Songs, which is basically me playing guitar and singing or trying to sing, and they're all my own songs. I've sort of started songwriting,
nice.
and I've now set it up on Twitter, and that is the Twitter handle AB Sofa Songs. So when I put the video on, I'm going to link them to Twitter and I'll do all that sort of stuff. So please click like and subscribe.
Lovely.
Yes,
Go check
everyone
it out.
go and follow Brad Matthews. I'm sure it's some great songs there. I'm definitely going to be checking that out after this. But Brad, let's talk about the game yesterday. A fiery game at Stamford Bridge, 2-2. We got away with one a bit. I mean, not a bit, quite a lot yesterday. But how did you assess that performance yesterday?
I think during the game, certainly in the first half, I was disappointed that we still haven't seemed to have overcome that mental hurdle of playing there. And I felt that Chelsea, especially after all the hype that had gone throughout the week. I mean, a lot of people were predicting, we'll win 3-4-0, whatever. We're going to batter them. I didn't go with that, but I thought we'd have a chance of winning there. And I felt confident going into the game. But after the first sort of half an hour, you think, it's the same old again. Having said that, the fact that we stayed in the game and got the point at the end was brilliant. And we actually stayed in the game at 1-0 down. We got back to 1-1, and even 2-1 down, and that was a body blow. Them scoring literally 5 or 6 minutes after we equalised.
Yeah.
But we stuck in the game. We stuck to the substitutions. I thought made a change, and I think what your grandpa was saying, that these players that came on haven't got that mental blockage that the other players have got playing there throughout all the years. So in the end, and I was happy with the point. Definitely happy with the point. Probably lucky I didn't get banned from the pub, because I was basically shouting at Conte to hit the. Well, I won't say what I said, but
go on, Brad.
Yeah. But no, I was pleased at the point, and I noticed that all the that celebration police are out at the moment. Apparently, you're not allowed to celebrate like that. So
they're just salty.
Yeah, if you go to your second biggest rival's ground in a big game, and you've been beaten there all this time, and you get a last-minute injury time, 6 minutes into injury time equaliser, if you're not celebrating like nuts, like the players were, like I was, like you guys probably were, then I don't think football's really the game for you. So I was fully.
It's not like it's at home against whoever Arsenal celebrated against. Who was
Palace.
that?
Yeah,
it was Palace in the last minute. You know what I mean? And if it was on the other foot and Chelsea were at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and they got a last-minute equaliser when being outplayed for 90 minutes pretty much, they will be celebrating like they won the league as well. So it's just the way football is, and that's what makes football so special, isn't it? Those kind of celebrations at the end. That's what we're in it for.
It's a funny thing, because I always find that if I'm standing or sitting yesterday at a table, when that goal went in at the end, I actually get closer to the screen. I'm in front of the screen. I'm like, it's quite
Brad
weird.
ended up hugging the screen yesterday, Brad.
Yeah, I've had my television before now. So
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask, the struggles we had during the game, obviously, were Chelsea being on top and stuff. Do you put that down to the players maybe not implementing Conte's plan well enough, or do you put that down to Conte maybe being not more tactically astute enough against Tuchel?
No, I actually, what I noticed yesterday was that we, on the technical side of things, on the actual skill level, we gave the ball away a heck of a lot. We couldn't hang on to the ball when we got it, and it was players that you sort of come to think that it's natural that people like Bentancur are going to get the ball and turn around and go forward, and Son's going to get the ball and pass players. But I found, especially during the first half, that our players were losing the ball too much. We didn't have any sort of periods of play where we was passing it around, and I think that really contributed to the fact that Chelsea were playing well and also closing us down really well as well. But we just their skill level seemed to drop in that, certainly in the first half. So I don't think it was tactical. And then in the second half, Conte, had to change things. Yeah, he could have made the changes a bit earlier, but he made the changes, and I felt the players that came on made a difference. And the thing was, once you get the goal, then your confidence comes up, and that's what Tottenham needed. It might have been a different game if Tottenham had scored early, and we actually did have a chance in that first couple of minutes. And I think the pass through, I think it was Kulusevski, and the pass through at Song wasn't the best. You know, you get a goal up in that, and then your confidence level rises and your skill level. But I think that mental block and that sort of I think that's what probably caused it. And they'll learn from that. And let's face it, you know, we've been beaten by Chelsea so many times. That point is a good point, and I'm you know, I would have taken that before the game. I'd have loved to have won. Don't get me wrong, but looking at our first 5 or 6 games, I think getting a point at Stamford Bridge and then a point at the Etihad when we go there, I think that's a good start if we win our home games. That is obviously.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you're absolutely spot on, Brad. But look, thanks for coming on as always.
No problem.
And
Anytime.
Nice one, Brad.
and we'll see you soon. Hopefully, see you on the weekend.
Yeah, I'll be there. If I can get there, because it's an early kickoff and all the trains are on strike, and I think the underground.
Oh, dearie me.
So I'll get there. I can get 2 buses, and it takes me about 3 hours. I'll have to leave about 7 in the morning. But yeah, I'll definitely be there. All right, cheers, guys.
Cheers, mate. See you next time.
Have a good day. Bye bye.
Cheers. You too.
See you, Brad.
Next up, we've got Alex Samuels. Just quickly, tell him to go away, Alex. Tell him to go away. We'll bring him on in a second. 1 minute. Yeah, all right, we're good to go. Alex, how's it going, brother?
Hello. No, it's good. Sorry, that was just my Chelsea fan stepdad just there.
Oh, dearie me. Huh?
Is he giving you
Yeah, I
hassle,
know.
Alex?
No. So we shook hands on the way home yesterday from the ground.
Did he let go of your hand?
You know what? I should have done that. I should have looked at the handshake very intensely, and then yeah. No, I mean, it was so funny because just after that goal went in, I just in the ground, and the full-time whistle went, I just burst out laughing, to be honest. I was like, how the hell have we got away with this one? Like we were pretty shocking throughout the game, and Chelsea were really good, and nobody can deny
I can hear a bit of echo or someone speaking in the background. Is that coming from your end? Or is it someone in the back end?
Is that?
I
think someone's
think
just
that's
left.
better now. Yeah, I think that's better now.
Okay.
Yeah. No, go on, Alex. Carry on what you're saying. Sorry.
No, that was just pretty much it. It was just such a, for most of the game we were a lot of it we were behind, and that was just pretty sad to I was kind of sitting a mixture of Tottenham and Chelsea people. So
were you in corporate yesterday?
Yeah.
Big shot.
Yeah, it's very, very, very hot in a suit and everything, so that wasn't brilliant. But yeah, no, it was yeah. So yeah, it's one of those games which you just have to end of it go. That's football, and this is what we're here for. This is why we follow our teams. And it's a London derby. All the passion that was shown, I absolutely loved it. So and that's what it is.
Getting that result, Alex, yesterday. Obviously, we haven't got a result like that at Stamford Bridge for a while now. Does that tell you how far we've come under Conte, or do you think we were just a bit lucky yesterday with the way it all just panned out?
Well, I think there's 2 aspects to that. Firstly, it's the mentality side, which I think I saw a lot of people saying, if we played that game, without Conte or potentially even, I guess, the substitutes, but he hasn't had enough time to instill the mentality in the squad, then we wouldn't have got the result. And I kind of agree with that. I think there is a certain element to mentality. We have got a lot of last-minute winners during the games we played on Conte. I mean, Leicester, City, might be a few more I'm forgetting.
Watford.
So yeah, so there's definitely some examples of that. And then there's the other side, which is we were incredibly fortunate as well. I think there was a lot of incidents during the games which I know Chelsea fans aren't exactly happy with. I think their petition to ban Anthony Taylor is now 100,000. So congratulations to them.
Jeez, dry your eyes, Chelsea fans. I mean, no one was complaining when Harry Kane literally breathed on a Chelsea player. Well, Thiago Silva was it last year, and he went down like a ton of bricks. You know what I mean? And the goal gets ruled out. No one's complaining then.
I saw a great tweet saying that their tears could have solved the drought problem.
Brilliant, Alex.
In the UK. Yeah.
Alex, how do you assess our struggles yesterday in terms of why we struggled for control in the game? Do you think it was a tactical issue on Conte's part, or would you say the players weren't up to standard implementing his plan?
A bit of both. I think you brought on Lewis earlier, who I think was right in that Conte can be quite rigid in, he's got kind of one thing and he goes well, and saying that he did try to change it during the game, but as a consequence of that, their second goal happened. I know he wanted to change it quickly, but because of that, we were left weak. It was like one player was missing essentially when when Sterling put Reece James through on goal. That's what it felt like, really. So so I think in that respect, it was on Conte, some of it, but then I think some players just weren't up to stand. I think Sessegnon was poor, really poor. I said he had to be subbed in the at half time. I thought for certain Perisic was going to come on, but he didn't. So that was a bit disappointing. And Son, Kulusevski was incredibly quiet. Both of them really. Not written. Son, everything seems to bounce off him. Really, he just really wasn't upstanding. So, and it wasn't just that; the defense as well just wasn't asserting themselves like the Chelsea defense was. I thought Koulibaly was excellent for Chelsea, irrespective of the goal. I think overall, I don't think a lot of the players can come out of that game feeling they did well. And in fairness, they're not. I think they know that. They absolutely know that. Højbjerg, I think he said it in one of his interviews. He knows that, and they're very well aware that it was not good enough, and that they have a lot of things to work on. And maybe it was, yes, maybe we could have won that game, and it would have been great. But also maybe just that we didn't perform as well as we know we could have is a bit of a wake up call for us that we need. So
do you think there's a problem potentially in our back three and physicality? Because I've seen like Sterling, not so much Sterling, but Havertz and especially Loftus-Cheek, we're getting a lot of joy physically against our back three, winning a lot of duels, letting the ball stick a lot. It wasn't the same going the other way with Silva and Koulibaly. They were, and Reece James as well. They were physically very dominant against our three. So is that something we've got to be wary of? Maybe we need some more physical presence in that back line, because if they're able to, if people like Havertz are able to physically, compete with our centre backs, maybe that's a bit of an issue.
But the thing is, you from the centre backs we had on show yesterday that were playing, you wouldn't really assume that be the case, because we've got Romero, who's probably one of the most aggressive defenders in the league. Dyer, who you'd assume is pretty physical anyway. Ben Davies, maybe there's an argument for that, but so I don't know really is the question. I thought Romero had a mixed game when he wasn't pulling hair out of certain players' head, but I thought positionally sometimes Romero was very like Dyer. I said it looked like we were missing a player for the Reece James goal. That was basically because Dyer got pulled out. I think it was by Sterling actually, or Havertz. I can't remember. One of them. So Dyer got pulled out of position quite a bit. So, and yet that is quite concerning that we weren't able to deal with. I know an attacking threat which isn't the best in the top six, arguably one of the weakest in the top six, potentially, maybe apart from Man United. There's a lot of concerns there which need to be addressed. Hopefully, we're going to get in maybe another option at centre back. I hate to be that person that's like everything will be solved by transfers, because that's not the case. But let's not forget, Conte hasn't had as long as Tuchel to work with this squad. He's been there much longer. He'll have. That's probably why they've got a bit more tactical flexibility as well, which he definitely displayed yesterday. Because it was a very tactical game, which was very enjoyable to see. I thought it was fascinating that Conte swapped that back four when he did, because he very rarely does that. Yeah,
I think
it was
two players, potentially two players who in our squad could help with games like yesterday. I think first of all, Basuma, once he gets fully integrated to the team, I think he's going to help us break presses like we weren't able to yesterday, actually drive up the pitch a bit more, which Bentancur and Højbjerg weren't able to do really against that midfield. And I also think Clement Longley potentially could add a bit more physicality to that back three. And once you add him there, then all of a sudden there's not really a target where you could really physically dominate easily. Like right now, you think someone like Loftus-Cheek, he just stuck on Davis, and every time he was winning the headers, every single time. And maybe when you have someone like Longley there, a bit more of a physical presence, that might be able to stop that from happening.
And it's not just that. I mean, in these kind of games, you're going to be set pieces so important.
Yeah.
And you saw how much of a difference Perisic made when he came on.
Yeah, true. That's also true. So maybe the answers already lie in our squad.
Yeah, and that's one of the best. I think that was one of the best things about yesterday, which is that we lose that game if we didn't have that bench available. I thought Richarlison was excellent in a certain way when he came on. He was really causing that Chelsea defense problems, and he gave. It's really hard to describe it, but he looked like a ready-made player for this squad. Richarlison, when he came on, he just looked like he really fitted in, and I'm not quite sure how to describe it, but he just looked ready to go. Even if he hasn't really scored a goal for us yet, he was already shown that he's able to impose himself on the game very quickly, and on a top tier defense. So and there's a lot of positives, and I want to see some of these players starting more games. To be honest, I don't, and I think that we'll start to see that being the case now that they're maybe going to prove themselves to Conte a bit more. Hopefully, Richarlison gets some time as well, because I thought it was Richarlison was playing sort of a 10/9, I think, when he came on. It was sort of next to Kane.
It was like kind of like two up top with Richarlison and Kane up top. Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
I sometimes felt he was playing just a bit behind Kane, but wasn't too sure. It was kind of interchangeable. So yeah, it's just I really want to see some of these players restart. Basuma looks he wasn't excellent when he came on, but he did enough. He was decent and imposed himself on the game as well.
He was great with the fans after the game, wasn't he, Basuma?
Oh yeah, I love that. And guys, all these celebration police, get out of here, honestly. Like, I'm so sick and tired of this. But you're not allowed to celebrate anything unless you're lifting a trophy, or I don't know what, or
unless you're scoring in the last minute against Crystal Palace.
Exactly. Like, I don't get it. How anyone can think, and I love it also how Arsenal fans ended up defending Chelsea fans for a game that doesn't have anything to do with them. But that's fine.
Classic.
They can have the instead of all this passionate derby, they can all just have a great chat about how much they hate Tottenham. We hate Tottenham.
Let them all have
derby.
a We Hate Tottenham club and all sit there together and talk about us all day long. But back on your point about these players getting more game time now, I think that will be the case now, because we've got midweek football starting from next week. West Ham away in the Premier League, so the games are going to start coming more thick and fast. Champions League will about to start as well pretty soon. So once we start playing 2 games in a week, I think that's when you're going to see these players start to be filtered for him.
Yeah, and it's just great to see. I'm so happy that we have someone who can actually replace Harry Kane, and we can be happy about that. I'm so happy with a genuine replacement for him, and it's looking good at the moment. But I think that performance was definitely a type of reality check. Not that we're like really terrible, but that there is more work to be done to get up to the standards that I've got. But also at the end of the day, we might have had an off day. Chelsea always redouble their efforts for us. That happens every single time we play them. It's
exactly. They're just
it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone
these days.
Exactly. So it's it was the most unsurprising thing in the world, for example, that will probably be Koulibaly's only goal this season or something like that. that sort of thing will be the only outrageous goal he scores in his Chelsea career.
There's something about Chelsea centre-back scoring screamers against us. How many times has it happened?
Yeah.
Carvalho,
Honestly,
Gallas, Koulibaly yesterday. I'm sure there's been more in the past. I mean, I think
Probably
has
Alonso
Belletti done it
counts
against
as
us as well. I
Belletti
mean,
scored an absolute screamer once.
you know what I mean?
against
What
us.
is it about Chelsea defenders scoring screamers against us?
I don't know.
Rudiger and Thiago Silva both scored against
Did
us
Alex
last
as well
season.
once? That was against Arsenal.
Can't remember Alex scoring against us, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying last season at the White Hart Lane, at Tottenham Stadium, Silva and Rudiger both scored in that game.
Alonso as a left wing back potentially as well.
He scored a few.
Yeah.
He scored a few against us.
Yeah.
These bloody defenders.
Brilliant.
Reece James as well got a goal yesterday as well. All their defenders score against us.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyway, Alex,
I don't know.
always great to have you on, my friend. And
No, thank you guys. Thank you.
And we'll speak to you soon.
Speak to you guys soon. Thanks so much.
Nice one.
Up the
Cheers.
Spurs, come on.
See you. Up the Spurs.
All right. Do we have anyone else?
Yeah.
We do. How many do we have left? All right. It's the last caller
I
of
reckon
the
I
show.
knew who it is.
I knew it was going to be. I knew who it was going to be. And everyone, it's me. It's KPV.
Hello, boys.
How you
How
doing,
you doing,
KPV? You look. Your camera's very pixelated.
Is it?
But anyway, what do you want to talk about today, Carl?
You know I'm going to talk about the game, boys.
Talk to me. What did you think of the Spurs' performance yesterday?
I know you're still upset, but I'm a bit upset, but I'm quite half happy about it. Kane loves the goal in this game. That's 5 now. 5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm upset. I'm not really upset. I mean, I said yesterday I was a bit upset with the performance, but I said also that the result kind of papered over that. So I was actually really happy with that result yesterday. And to go to Chelsea away, you got to be happy with a point, don't you?
Yeah, like I said, Kulu hat-trick, but Højbjerg has now scored in, against 2 big teams, Liverpool and Chelsea, but Liverpool at home and Chelsea away. So, yeah, I think that's 2 stunning goals he's now scored. So, got to be happy with Højbjerg. Pierre Emil Høj basket. That's what you call him. And yeah.
Carl, who wins in a fight, Conte or Tuchel?
What?
Who wins in a fight, Conte or Tuchel?
Well, it's got to be Conte because Drew McIntyre said he's going to talk to a couple of people about setting up those two for a match at WWE Clash of the Castle. Like, no, that's something I'd look forward to Conte winning against Chelsea. Then Conte can show them who rules London because it's us. But, yeah, like, great game yesterday. Like, this is the game of the season, in my opinion.
Yeah,
well, not many to pick from so far, seeing as it is only the second week of the season.
Yeah.
Are you worried at all about that performance yesterday, or do you think that it's a Chelsea away, it's always going to be a tough game, take a point and just move on?
Yeah. I'm not worried about that, what you just said, because it's Chelsea away. I know we didn't score against them last season, but the last time we scored there was obviously when you two were there, when Conte was their boss. But, but I'll take a point at Scunthorpe Bridge, as I said. Scunthorpe Bridge. Scunthorpe Bridge. That's what I call it. Damn right, boys. Later. All right, lads.
All right,
you want to take no one over there or no one over there? There's stewards down that end or cleaners down that end.
Sorry?
Later, boys.
Laters, Carl.
All right, see you later, Carl.
Not sure what that was about.
Big up, KPV.
God love KPV.
But I think that's all we have time for today. Player ratings and 5 takeaways are coming up next, so stay tuned for that. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.